Hello, my name is Anyanwu Chime Favour. I am live on the program Meet the Author. My name is Anyanwu Chime Favour. I hail from Ayazumbise local government area of Imo State here in Nigeria. I'm born into the family of Mr. and Mrs. Innocent Anyanwu, and I'm the last of 7 children. Well, I had my primary and secondary education between Lagos and Abuja. Basically, primary school in Ikeja in Lagos, junior secondary school in Mafoluku Oshodi, and then senior secondary school here in Abuja in government secondary school, Wuse. I acquired a BSc in Mass Communication from Rema University, Abia State in Nigeria. I am an author and a self-publisher. I actually started writing at a very tender age, let's say between 12-13, and it wasn't really something serious for me because I just felt I could write stories and I had to put down some things once in a while. Whatever comes to my head, I just put it down. But along the line, I had this friend of mine, we had this clique, like they call it back then in Lagos, and this particular one came from a a kind of family that they were very strict, and they had to make her do every single thing they wanted her to do, and she was like the only child, the only daughter in the midst of guys, you know. So when I looked at her, I felt I could write a story about her because her life was not normal. It wasn't like our kind of life where we had the freedom to play, we could do a lot of things without our parents being angry at us and all of that. So when I kept writing the story, I followed her life gradually. I was writing and writing and writing, but I discovered that I couldn't really wait for all the imaginations in my head to come to pass. So I said, okay, maybe I should just conclude the book, and then I had to just conclude The Precious Daughter. And funny enough, The Precious Daughter, talking about this precious girl from this lovely family but very strict, my story ended in a way that her life actually ended a few years later. So if you have the opportunity to read Precious Daughter, you would know that it's a real life story. It's not like something that came out of your imagination, even though at the end of everything I still had to conclude it myself, but the story is still very real. So writing is something that I love doing, and that's why immediately Precious Daughter was published in 2016. 2017 another book followed. You know, it was like it just came, the zeal was there to write, so I had to just write, and then I came with this Just Once. Very interesting story. I wrote Just Once in just how many nights? In 3 nights. Yeah, in just 3 nights. I could just picture everything here and there. Immediately it was coming, I was putting it down, and I had very supporting family and friends. Like when I published the first one, my parents were really eager to see the outcome of the book. They were pushing me so hard. Even when I stopped at a point, they were like, you need to finish it, you need to publish it, you know. So I was being pushed to the extreme, and it actually came out fine. And that's why the second one also, I really enjoyed writing it, and I enjoyed how fast it came out. For the reception, after the book was published, we had I didn't really want it to be because of the financial aspect or the monetary aspect. So the publishing came from me. That's being a self-publisher. I published my book and I went to schools. I donated them to schools. So publishing my books, I didn't have in mind to make money. Maybe like some people would say, oh, they go into writing because they want to sell and make money. Mine was really for the knowledge of it. I published and I was actually donating them out to different schools because I wanted that knowledge to be there. Even though to an extent, some schools rejected Precious daughter at the initial time. They were like, I'm trying to promote stubbornness in families where kids are not supposed to listen to their parents. But then I had to do like a presentation. Once in a while, I go to these schools and I do a presentation. I try to make them understand the line at which I'm trying to take them to, not really for the stubbornness aspect of it. And to some extent, they began to see reasons with me and they started accepting the book. So for me, writing is not publishing is not really just for the money of just for the money aspect, but for the knowledge itself. So Precious daughter, just once, I've been donating them out every single term. I go to different schools, I donate these books to them. Sometimes I go there, have a review with them, sit down, I make prizes available after reading the book. What can you make out of the book? And at the end of it, I give them prizes to appreciate them for reading and understanding the book itself. So that's just a little about my writing and the publishing aspect. For me, my inspiration comes from my environment. Like I said, the first book, Precious Daughter, came from my friend. My inspiration came from my friend, and that's the same way my inspiration also came from another friend when I wrote my second book. But then I also have a lot of people who inspires me, but I'm going to mention just few persons like Chimamanda Adichie, Chinua Achebe, late Chinua Achebe, Sefiata, and a lot of other authors. That's because their works are as real as possible, and when you are reading their book, you see that you have this feeling of being right there at the scene, like you could imagine every single action. So that's the same way my books are. I try as much as possible to make you have that same feeling when reading my books. So that's just a bit about my inspiration. So I don't really have that kind of situation where you have to be in the toilet before you get the inspiration. You have to go to a cool environment before you get the inspiration. So my inspiration can come at any time. I could just be sitting down and I see somebody moving across the street, like, oh, look at this person. I could put something down about this person and then I begin to write. I don't need the person to be there. Once I start writing, I complete the other things through my imagination. So that's just how my inspiration comes. Okay, in writing, there are several challenges, especially for me. I can't speak for others, but I know that amongst us, we would really agree with the fact that as a self-publisher, one of the major challenges is finance. The monetary aspect of it is a problem because you have to publish yourself. You're not working in line with any publishing company to make your book available. So before your book gets out, you have to publish it right from your own pocket. So that's a major challenge for me. And also reception could be, it could be very heartbreaking. Sometimes you struggle for years to put down something, and then when you go out there, people look at it like, what nonsense, without even going through it. And you know the popular saying that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. So sometimes when people look at the cover of a book, they'll be like, oh, this is child's play. So they don't even want to go through the work itself to know what it's actually about. I get that a lot. Like when I go to schools and be like, Precious Daughter, oh, this will be very interesting. And then what's the book all about? And then you're talking about, you just try to give a little story about it, and then someone is like, you're trying to promote stubbornness in the house without even going through the book to really understand what the book is about. And then thirdly, piracy. I don't think, and when we talk about piracy, we are not talking about it based on the fact that it's just in writing. Piracy is everywhere, and it has made a lot of people not to really reap the fruits of their labor. You write a book, you're selling the book for as cheap as 300 naira, and then one day you go into the market, your books are all over the place for 100 naira. Like, how are you even supposed to make money from it? How are you even supposed to get back what you spent to publish? Let's not talk about the stress, let's not talk about the effort that you put in writing the book. Just at least make the money that you spent in publishing. You can't even get it. So I think piracy is very, very deep in our country, and it should be looked into. People should not eat what you labored for. So I think those are my 3 major challenges, but they are not all the challenges we have, but 3 major ones. So I think the greatest success you can have is the one given to you by God and the one you give to yourself. So I success story for me, considering that I've written books, I cannot really say book has given me like a large recognition, but having gone to donate the books to schools, sometimes you are moving along the road or at the airport or at the bus stop or anywhere, then you see like young girls run up to you, I know you, you know, that kind of thing, the author of so and so, and yeah, it makes you very happy. But then I think I'm proud of myself. It's not easy to write a book, so I give success to myself, and I really hope that someday the books will gain proper recognition, because they have messages that kids, young people are supposed to know, information that young people are supposed to be aware of. So I really hope that someday I'll get the recognition that I look up to. So in the next 5 years, I see myself writing more books. Yeah, I really love to write more books. Secondly, I would like to see my books make meaningful impacts in the lives of people, both young and old, male and female. Thirdly, I would like my name to be a household name, not just within the country, but I think around the world, where people can boldly say they know this person for the kind of books she writes. I know this book is good, it talks about this and that, just like Chinua Achebe, Chimamanda. When you go to every house, at least there is no house you would enter that you would say, no, this name has never been heard in this house. And there is no house you enter that you won't see books from, or even one book from these authors. So I would like my name to be a household name in the next 5 years. Yes, and also I would like to play a major role in the advocacy for massive literacy. You know, we need to change that narrative of saying that people don't read that much. My expectations. So I expect to see authors, publishers, filmmakers come together in a form of synergy, whereby they can adapt books for the purpose of filmmaking. We talk about Harry Potter is a book which was later made into a movie. We talk about Half of a Yellow Sun, a book which was also made into a movie. And if you look at it very well, you would understand that the movies were they were watched more. I think so, because Half of a Yellow Sun, from the movie, you would enjoy it, and there is nothing different from the book. Like, some people would read the book and later they will say that okay, some things were not in line. The book and the movie were actually the same, just like Harry Potter. And because young people these days really don't like reading that much, so they prefer to watch, and that's why the entertainment industry is gaining a lot of recognition other than the literature or any other area that has to do with writing or education per se. So if you put these books into film, I think they would go a long way, because both the young, the old, everyone would go through the movie and they would also understand the book from the movie. Secondly, I want to also see a situation whereby African authors can come together, sit down, talk, interact, and bring up new ideas on how to write new stories actually of a new Africa. It shouldn't be the narrative that they've had a long time ago. I think the pictures being portrayed of Africa needs to be reviewed, and this can be achieved when African authors come together and take the decision that yes, this narrative has to change, and then they come together to change that narrative through writing as well. My advice to upcoming authors, I would advise you never to give up. I know you might say other industries are trending, they are progressing, they are succeeding, but this particular industry is like, it's just there. But I will tell you that someday definitely will get there. So don't ever give up, keep writing. Don't look at that financial aspect at the initial time. Let your book make impact, let your name be out there for the good impact that it's going to make, it's going to create, not for the monetary aspect. But definitely the money would come. A lot of people go into writing for the purpose of impacting, informing, and at the same time making money. But at the initial time in this country, you need to allow the book to make the impact first, and then the money will definitely come. So that's just it. Try to write as many books as possible. I say writing at a very tender age. I never knew that one day I would become a publisher though. I never knew one day I would become an author. But today, look at me. I'm an author. I'm proud of myself. I'm not saying I've gotten to where I want to be, but I hope to get to where I want to be and even go beyond where I'm looking at. Once again, my name is Anyanwu Chime Favour, and I'm live on the program Meet the Author.